Once, not long ago, in deepest Africa, a great rainforest. A wild, magical land barely touched by humankind. It's a special day in the dark heart of this forest. There's a new life. A precious baby boy named Oscar. What's so special about this little guy? Well, something truly amazing will transform his life. And that's what our story is all about. Beneath this rainforest canopy is a world that you or I may never set eyes on. It's a world with few people, but still, it's full of drama, sadness, and joy.
I'm in a little bit of trouble, and I'm in real deep. From the beginning to the end, he was no more than a friend to me. The thought is making me hazy. I think I better sit down. 'Cause like a sweet serenade, but he knows he's got it made with me. Twisting around on a carousel, this beat's too much to stop. 1 second I'm thinking I'm feeling the loss, and then I feel alive. Ooh, that man is like a flame, and ooh, that man plays me like a game. My only sin is I can't win. Ooh, I wanna love that man. Ooh, that man is on my list, and ooh, that man I wanna kiss. My only sin is I can't win. Ooh, I wanna love that man.
About 3 months have passed since little Oscar brought light into his mother's life. Isha couldn't be happier with her new baby boy. Oscar's world revolves around Mom. But there are 35 other chimpanzees in his group that make a kind of extended family, and they're never far away. Perhaps one day Oscar will become an old-timer like Grandpa, who will turn 50 this year. But there are other kids too. They'll become Oscar's playmates. It's a rich society, but in the heart of the jungle. Now, Oscar won't be in his prime until he's over 20, but one day he'll look like this big guy. This is Freddie, and he's large and in charge. His white beard shows his years of wisdom and experience. Right now, Freddie is untouchable, and like most alpha males, he couldn't care less about the young upstarts who would just love to take over his job someday. Yeah. Seen it all before. You need brains to make a living in this forest. The jungle toolbox can help, but only if you're bright enough to use it. Sometimes it just takes a little homeschooling, available from your friends and family. See? Like this. Right there. Even Rufus catches on eventually. There you go. Bugs on a stick. It's finally time for Oscar to leave his mother's side. For Isha's little boy, this is Independence Day. And independence comes one step at a time. Well, that's enough independence for one day. Oscar's forest home is a prime piece of chimpanzee real estate that appears rich and lush, but it's a hard place to make a living. The jungle itself is a living, breathing thing that doesn't want to be eaten. Finding food here is a full-time job that involves the whole family, including Oscar. Now that he's grown up a little, he can start to explore on his own. But he's not above catching a lift when he can. Really, why walk when you can hitch a ride? Keep it moving, Mom. Freddie leads a search for breakfast. It helps to have someone who knows where they're going, especially when the restaurant is never in the same place. Today, the diner isn't even in the same neighborhood. To find the fruit they'll need, they'll have to travel much further and take a risk. Freddie knows the only fruit available now is on the far side of their kingdom, out of their safe zone. This border has been a battleground for generations. Everyone is on maximum alert and treads as quietly as possible. Freddie's leading them close to their greatest enemies. This ridge marks the start of territory owned by a group of rival chimpanzees. The forbidden fruit is finally in reach. Oscar. Freddy sees his team are outnumbered 2-1. The enemy has a formidable leader, Scar. He and his team have had Freddy in their sights for years. Oscar clings to Isha. They dare not make a move. The rivals have caught their scent. Oscar and the others are in real danger. Scar's drum is a threat. For Isha, it's run or die. Freddy leads the escape. By running off Freddy's group, their enemies have claimed a small victory. But that's just the beginning. Scar and his troops are intent on winning the war, not just a single battle. The prize? A grove of nut trees in the center of Freddy's land. The grove is an oasis of food in this difficult forest, and one that Scar's army has to conquer if they're going to survive and thrive. Isha knows that Scar is the greatest threat to little Oscar, and the run-in was too close for comfort. She'll do everything possible to keep her son safe. Oscar will rely on his mother's milk for a good while yet. And to keep that milk flowing, Isha relies on the rich nuts in Freddy's kingdom. The magnificent nut groves, so sought after by Scar, thrive here because of the rich soil and another magic ingredient: life-giving water. Beneath the waterfall, in the heart of Freddy's territory, the nuts are coming into season and it's time for a feast. They're delicious, nutritious, and you can't eat just one. It seems impossible to have too many. But how do you carry them without a bag? You've got to be creative. Put them over in this hand. Anybody watching this? The ripest nuts can be sniffed out, but these are also the hardest to break into. They require the right tool for the right job. It looks easier than it is, and the technique takes these guys many years to master. Yep, there we go. Yum, yum. Sometimes the best tool for getting nuts isn't a tool at all. Yep, it's good old Mom. It's a pretty sweet deal. But Mom will only help out for a couple of years. Then they'll have to take a shot at it themselves. I mean, really, how hard can it be? Oscar's in nut preschool. There's something wrong with this hammer. It won't hit the nut. Yep, definitely the hammer. Of course, a bigger one. This is defective. They just don't make logs like they used to. All right. It has to be the nut. Whoa, hold on. They're using rocks? No one said anything about rocks. Oh, I get it. They must be harder than wood. Mr. Nut, meet Mr. Rock. Come to Papa. Yes. Okay. That's one. Now Oscar's out of nuts. He'll have to leave his hammer to stock up. Rookie mistake. Had an eye on that kid all day. What an idiot. Oof. After all those nuts, nobody's swinging through the trees. Yes, it's time to rest and digest. Even our boy Oscar's knocked out. It can take hours to sleep off a big meal, but the jungle never rests. In the heat of the day, the parents just want a few minutes of peace and quiet. But the kids have other ideas, especially Oscar. Come on up, guys. A million trees in this forest, and you have to play over me. I'm sleeping. I'm still sleeping. Poor Isha. Just look at her. She really does have her hands full with Oscar. But her patience never seems to run out. Oscar's one lucky young chimp. Scar and his thugs are a growing threat. Food is still scarce in their territory. If nothing changes, they'll be forced to make a move on the nut groves. If they succeed, Freddy and his group will be exiled from their homeland forever. The aging Scar is under constant pressure from within. The males in his team are so powerful that any one of them could challenge him as leader, and he knows it. Grooming helps hold this volatile team together and reminds everyone who's boss. Without it, there would be anarchy. This hierarchy may hold in the short term, but how long can Scar count on his men? Far to the west, a special fruit is come into season beneath the waterfall. Sacoglottis. Try saying that 3 times fast. Freddy knows the fruit is a real bonus, so it's best to make the most of it. Isha collects a private stash for herself and Oscar. Remember to wash your food before eating it. Once washed, the fruit is chewed to a pulp so all the goodness can be sucked out. You can do it without teeth. No wonder Grandpa likes them. That's a good look. Not a lot of family photos with Grandpa. Very appetizing. When the fruit is sucked dry, rinse and repeat. Wow, that is some good sacoglottis. Finally, this is something Oscar can eat without his mother's help. But it's anyone's guess where the next meal is coming from. With the fruit running low, Freddy's family resorts to another source of food. Like us, they eat fruits, vegetables, and meat. But their choice in meat is something that just might surprise you. monkeys. The males take up the hunt. They split up. Fanning out through the forest, they take up their places. Freddie is at center stage. Oscar and Isha watch from the sidelines. These colobus monkeys are being hunted. Smaller and lighter than the chimpanzees, they can run on thinner branches, and this makes the hunt much more challenging. Freddie holds back. This operation requires planning, and everyone has a role to play. One by one, they silently take their positions. The monkeys still haven't seen them. Now the blockers move up. They're supposed to be seen and take a position in clear view. Another blocker. Another escape route closed. Freddie climbs carefully. He must not be seen. As ambusher, Freddie will stay hidden until he makes the grab. Perfect. Now for the driver. He'll push the monkeys towards the ambusher. Ready, steady, go! They've got one. Freddie takes the best for himself. After the initial scramble, the group settles in for the feast. For Oscar, it's time to try to win a seat at the adult table. Shares get dished out first to those that helped in the hunt or as payback for favors. But no matter how hard you try, there's always someone who feels shortchanged. The females couldn't care less. When it comes to guarding meat from the guys, girl power usually wins. Back off, big boy. It's always good to add a little fiber to your diet, so don't forget the side salad. As usual, Oscar was last in line, so he missed the main course. He'll have to settle for his mother's milk. He may not be the most popular little boy with everyone, but his mother's love is something he can count on. With dusk approaching, leopards will soon prowl the forest floor. If Isha and Oscar want to sleep safely, the only way is up. Young, flexible branches can be woven into a platform. And leaves from the same tree will do for bedding. Now that's comfort. Like most kids, Oscar hates bedtime. Finally, Isha's little rascal hits the sack. Even if the kids let you sleep, there's a good chance the neighbors will keep you awake. Ah, please. Are you kidding me? You know, frogs are edible. Isha and Oscar go downstairs the exciting way. Early morning, just after breakfast, is the best time of day to strengthen friendships with a little grooming. The bonds between Freddie's team are more important than ever. The group is far smaller than Scar's rival army, and teamwork is their best chance of protecting the nutgroves for the next generation. Oscar's future is in all their hands. Far to the east, just inside Freddie's territory, a fig tree comes into fruit and is an instant hit with everyone. Figs are a lifeline in the forest, often fruiting when there's nothing else to eat. Scar's gang is mounting a raid. They've wiped out the fruit in their own territory and have crossed the border to satisfy their hunger. All other animals scatter. Even these figs won't keep them fed for long. This is just a stepping stone. When the moment is right, they will try to take over the real prize, the nut groves. Scar's raid on the eastern border goes unnoticed by Freddy's group. A new kind of nut is ripening in the nut groves. These are far tougher than the last ones. It's time to bring in the heavy equipment. Power tools. Success with these nuts is all about the quality of your hammer. You can steal someone else's while they're off collecting nuts. And Freddy is an expert at this. But man, is he tough on his tools. These things are a community resource. So can you please try not to break them? Safety first. So please keep hands and feet clear of rocks at all times. Chimps have gathered here to crack nuts for over 4,000 years. Nut cracking is part of the group's cultural heritage and is passed through the generations, especially from mother to child. Learning for Oscar will be a slow process. It will be years before he could even lift a rock like this. Day after day, it takes a committed mom to teach him how to make a living in the jungle. It'll be many years before Isha's son can fend for himself. A gathering storm excites Scar's forces. For Freddy's gang, the rain is less welcome. Chimps just hate getting wet. Oscar gets all the warmth he can from Isha. Scar and his gang. The storm is cover for a raid. This time, they've got them cornered. Ish and Oscar are in trouble. Scar's army was overwhelming. Oscar's group is in disarray and badly shaken. In all the chaos, Oscar lost contact with his mom. Isha is nowhere to be seen. Isha has been injured and separated from the group by Scar's gang. She will struggle to get back safely. This is no forest to be alone in after dark. Several of Isha's friends have been lost to leopards, often when they have strayed from the safety of the group. Isha will never return to her family or her son. Oscar doesn't know about his mother's death, and he searches for her everywhere. With every hour that slips by, he becomes more desperate. Oscar's growing body needs constant food. He tries to remember what his mom did to make their living, but nothing comes easily without her. hours turn into days. Oscar must spend less time searching and more time focusing on his survival. Hunger drives Oscar to a bee's nest. Honey is good food, but he's always relied on his mom to collect it. The honey's too deep for small arms to reach, and the bees are not happy. Oscar's loss will be Freddie's gain. The boss takes the biggest piece of honeycomb, but there's enough left for everyone else except the little boy who found it. The forest seems an increasingly hostile place for a young, hungry chimpanzee. The razor-sharp jaws of these army ants can strip a frog or a lizard to the bone in minutes. Is it really a good idea to eat something that can eat you back? Oscar is the first to get bitten. Without a mother, he'll need to learn fast from the older chimps. All right, step one, make a miniature fishing rod from a nearby branch. Step two, cast it in and wait for a bite. And finally, step three, ants on a stick. Eat and enjoy. Boy, that is spicy. It's ingenious. They'll bite your lips, but at least the rest of you is safe. Oscar keeps his distance. Maybe it's safer just to pick up tips for another time. Oscar is losing weight quickly, and with no one to groom him, it's becoming harder to keep ticks and other bugs from his skin. It's time to accept the simple truth. Isha isn't coming back. Oscar has to find a new mother. But sadly for him, most of the females have kids of their own and are unable to help. Again and again, Oscar is rejected. Even finding a friend seems hard. It's hopeless. Scar and his men may have taken more than one life that day. The enemy has returned. They have eaten all the food in their own territory and are now stealing from Freddy's land to sustain their number. For Scar, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. There is a growing impatience among Scar's army. They want to take the nut groves. And more than one of them would like to be leader. Oscar has tried everything, but he's still alone. There's only one chimp he hasn't approached. Freddy. By following the leader, Oscar will at least find the best food and work out what's safe to eat. Right now, survival is all that matters. Freddy is not known for his tolerance, but Oscar isn't a challenger. This will be a new experience for them both. A gentle acceptance is more than Oscar could have hoped for. Being at Freddy's side should allow him to pick up some tips on food preparation. Maybe the big guy's table manners don't set the best example, but who's going to tell him off? Or pick a fight with the friend sitting next to him? As the days pass, Freddie and Oscar's relationship begins to change until something extraordinary happens. Freddie allows Oscar to ride on his back, as usually only a mother would. It's a sign of something truly incredible. Freddie will adopt Oscar. Just being led to these nuts would not help Oscar. But now Freddie steps up and gives his new friend first pick of everyone he cracks, just as his mother once did. The bond between them is growing. It's Oscar's best meal since Isha vanished. The group is waiting for their leader, but Freddie has a new project. The learning that stopped short when Oscar was orphaned is starting again. He's with a wise and skilled chimpanzee who has much to offer. Forest School is back in session. Everywhere Freddie goes, Oscar follows. And everything Freddie does, Oscar copies. Our little boy is on the fast track to forest knowledge. Freddie's world may be richer thanks to his new friend, but his commitment to Oscar has left him no time to patrol his borders. The change has been noticed. Scar and his gang have now crossed over the ridge. They would not usually get this deep into Freddie's land without opposition, and they intend to take full advantage. The troops need to refuel before they push on. The grand fig tree is being pillaged. This is the food that Freddie's group were relying on. But Scar has no interest in the needs of his enemies. Encouraged by the lack of resistance at the border, the intruders are now deep inside Freddie's land. But there is growing dissent in the ranks. The physical power of this army is beyond question, but the unity of a team can be fragile. Scar needs to watch his back. Freddie has become completely devoted to Oscar, the highest-ranking male grooming the lowest. It's an astonishing turn of events. A few weeks ago, Oscar had nothing. And now he's well fed and completely adored, and his savior is the last one anyone could have expected. The rivals are fed and rested. Scar and his mob are within reach of the nut groves. The time for a full invasion has arrived. Freddie grooms his allies. He knows there is trouble approaching, and for the first time in weeks, he appears nervous. Friendships need investment, and his attention has been elsewhere. Oscar feels Freddie's focus drift away from him. Freddie must reassure his team that he is still the boss and has the strength to unite them and lead them. Oscar's confused. He's lost one parent and seems to be losing another. The rivals are close. Oscar and the group sense that something is wrong. Something catches Freddie's eye. Scar attacks. The final push has begun. Freddie's team can't escape. to fight, but some of Scar's mob hold back. Freddy leads the attack. Freddy and Scar go head to head. There can be only one victor. Freddy's drum announces victory. Scar will not be returning anytime soon. Teamwork has beaten brute force. The group is now thriving, unchallenged in their ownership of the precious nut groves. Cracking school continues, but some students never seem to catch on. Grandpa has lived to see Scar dealt a blow from which he may never recover. And Oscar is causing as much trouble as ever. But now, he's fully accepted by the group and seems to be everyone's new friend. Maybe quiet times are returning at last. Oscar and Freddy have been transformed by the turmoil of the last few months. For Oscar, the loss of his mother could have meant the end. Instead, it's a new beginning, with the most unlikely foster parent in the forest. And Freddy, he's discovered a softer side that must have been there all along. Secure in Freddy's arms, the future finally looks bright for Oscar.
I'm in a little bit of trouble, and I'm in real deep. From the beginning to the end, he was no more than a friend to me. The thought is making me hazy. I think I better sit down. 'Cause like a sweet serenade, bet he knows he's got it made with me. Someone call a doctor, need some help to rescue me. 1 second I'm thinking I must be lost, and he keeps on finding me. Ooh, that man is like a flame, and ooh, that man plays me like a game. My only sin is I can't win. Ooh, I wanna love that man. Ooh, that man is on my list, and ooh, that man I wanna kiss. My only sin is I can't win. Ooh, I wanna love that man. Ooh, I'm gonna find that man.
big male decided to carry this little orphan and take care of him and give him food, it literally took our breath away.
For sure, there's no doubt he saved the life of the little one, and that was really very touching to see.
Now, when you see a mother carrying its baby, it's charming, but when you see this huge King Kong-like figure carrying this tiny little male orphan around, it was lovely.
Every single day was an act of beauty between the two of them, and that's something you can never forget.
Sometimes I imagine the rest of the world waking up, getting on buses or maybe getting on subways. Our commute to work is walking for an hour through the jungle to find chimpanzees. Some of this stuff is just impenetrable and really difficult to move through. It really is a joy to walk through this forest. Oh, God. You can see it's not always that easy. So we're just walking. They bite you in the most remarkable places.
These sweat bees are driving me nuts. Still, at least they're not honeybees.
Ah! Ow! Ow! Ah!
Right, it's got intolerable. I'm gonna leave it.
Oh my God!
If it bites you, you won't survive.
It's not a picnic, you know. Yes! There must be easier ways to make a living, but they're not as much fun.
I used to be afraid of giving up. The road was just too tough. Out here on my own, my path was so numb. But now I see clearly. Everything within me is reaching up to the sky. Can see the world with open eyes. You can't let it pass you. Just take hold and grasp it. Now's the time to take a chance. With the strength of 1,000 men, climbing to my feet again. You can dry those tears from your eyes, and everything will be alright. You know the rainbow's just in sight. Dust your wings off as you rise. If your heart feels overwhelmed, just know you're never by yourself. Just put your hand in mine, hold your head up high, and together we'll rise. Never lift your head up to the sky and find yourself asking why. Never seeing eye to eye with the hardships of life. But faith is where my heart is. Let energy replace my doubts. Won't let my trials get the best of me. I'm marching forward towards my destiny. Hey. You can't let it pass you. Just take hold and grasp it. Now's the time to take a chance. With the strength of 1,000 men, climbing to my feet again.